You will find the link to crypto goal setting worksheet in the description and pinned in comments below. Most smart crypto indicators are not what they seem, and using them the wrong way can cost you your entire first bull run. If you want cinematic, no fluff crypto education that actually protects beginners, subscribe now because I post weekly breakdowns that turn confusing charts into practical moves. In this video, you will learn the three myths every beginner trusts about timing the market, the exact way capital rotation really works during bull runs, and a practical timing framework you can use in real trades. Stay until the end and I will reveal the one indicator combo that helped small accounts ride alt cycles without blowing up. Everyone wants a magic indicator that tells them when to buy. Trouble is, there is no magic, only misuse. Indicators are mathematical transformations of price and volume, not prophecy. Think of indicators like the dashboard lights in your car. They are useful only if you know what they measure and how delayed they are. An RSI line or a moving average is not telling you the future, it is telling you what already happened in a way that is easier to read. That delay is what turns useful information into dangerous signals if you do not understand it. If you blindly follow signals, you will chase stops and average down into traps. One common scenario is buying after an RSI crosses 70 during a gas fueled pump and then watching the price collapse the next day. But there is one simple mindset change that will stop you stop you mistaking noise for signal, and it changes how you use every indicator. Here is what those lines and histograms actually reveal and what they intentionally hide. Momentum indicators like RSI and stochastic measure the speed of price moves and are good for understanding trend strength but terrible for precise overbought timing. Trend indicators such as moving averages and MACD show average price behavior and reveal direction, but they always lack price. Volume and flow metrics like OBV and VWAP hint at capital movement and are the closest on chart clues to who is actually buying and who is selling. Imagine an anonymous whale quietly accumulating under the radar while retail watches RSI spikes and thinks a top is guaranteed. By the time the retail reacts, the smart money has already rotated and the indicators retail trusts are giving late noisy confirmation. You might be staring at indicators while the real money has already rotated out. Next, I will show how capital rotation looks on chain and on chart and why it invalidates a lot of buy the dip signals. Capital rotation is the invisible current that carries winners, and if you miss it, you will be left on the shore. Capital rotation simply means money moving from one asset class or coin group to another during cycles. During a bull run, the typical phases are accumulation by smart money, breakout, and speculative rotation across assets, distribution where profits are taken, and flight to safety into stable assets or Bitcoin. Look at historical cycles where Bitcoin dominance drops as altcoin gain and then later dominance reverses during de-risking phases. If you hold the wrong coin during rotation, you miss the easy 3x and suffer an emotional hit that makes you bail the next time. Next, I will show the three timing mistakes beginners make when they try to trade rotation and how to avoid each one. Here are the three moves that destroy rookie returns and ways pros think differently. Mistake 1 is chasing breakout confirmations, which means buying only after the price explodes and often at the peak. The solution is to scale in using wristbands so you never commit all your capital at the top. Mistake 2 is over relying on a single indicator. The solution is to use multi-dimensional checks that combine trend, volume, and on-chain flow. Mistake 3 is ignoring macro rotation signals like dominance, Bitcoin cycle, and liquidity. The solution is to monitor capital flow and use macro triggers as filters for alt entries. Consider a trader who bought altcoins after an RSI breakout and lost, contrasted with a trader who scaled in and used Bitcoin dominance as a timing filter and preserved capital. Small rule changes save accounts in ways that compound dramatically over time. Those rule changes form the framework I'll give you next, a practical timing framework you can use immediately. This is the exact checklist I would use to time entries during a bull rotation. Step 1 is the macro filter. Check Bitcoin trend and Bitcoin dominance trend, because falling dominance often precedes alt seasons. Step 2 is a heat map scan for clusters of coins showing correlated breakouts, which indicates broad capital rotation, not isolated pump action. Step 3 is volume confirmation. Look for a sustained on-chain and exchange volume rather than flash spikes that usually mean retail FOMO. Step 4 is structure entry. Scale into positions in three parts: 40% at the base, 30% at confirmation, and 30% on extension, with clear price triggers for each tranche. Step 5 is risk control. Use trailing stops and position sizing to limit exposure, generally keeping any single position to 2 to 5% of your portfolio. Step 6 is exit mapping. Set profit targets and rotation signals to know when to move gains into safer assets like stablecoins or Bitcoin. Think of building a bridge as an analogy: foundation, structure, and guardrails, where each trade step protects the rest. I will show a worked example on a historical alt run to illustrate entries and exits in practice. This framework will not make you rich overnight, but it keeps your account alive and surviving in the only way you win in crypto. Now I will reveal a controversial secret most educators will not tell you about indicators and market timing. The most accurate looking indicator is often the worst one to trust during a regime shift or rotation. Over optimized indicators fail because they were tuned to a past regime and break down when capital behavior changes. The secret is to combine structural context, namely market phase, with simple confirmation signals like volume and on-chain spikes instead of chasing indicator perfection. A short backtest vignette shows that simple rule-based checks often beat complex overfit indicators during major rotation. If you rely on technical indicators, you will be late, and late traders get eaten by moves that started elsewhere. Watch a real trade from start to finish, including the mistakes that the corrections that saved the account. First, the macro filter triggered because Bitcoin trend was intact and dominance was falling, suggesting alt season conditions. Next, the heat map showed a cluster of related tokens breaking to new ranges, indicating a broad rotation rather than a single pump. Volume confirmation arrived as on-chain transfers and exchange inflows increased steadily over several days, not as a single spike. I scaled in 40% at the base when the structure held, added 30% after confirmation, and reserved the final 30% for extension when the breakout sustained across time frames. My stop logic followed a trailing rule tied to structure, not to a specific indicator value. When profit targets were hit, I rotated gains into a stable asset and then re-entered selectively based on the framework. You will feel doubt during trades, and that is normal. But following a plan keeps emotions from destroying outcomes. Now I will explain how to automate parts of this workflow so you can act faster and avoid paralysis. You do not need expensive software to implement this framework. Use a charting platform that supports multi-time frame views on an on-chain dashboard for flow, a heat map for cluster detection, alert rules for your entry and confirmation conditions, and a simple spreadsheet for risk management. Set alerts that match the six-step framework so you get notified when the macro filter and initial confirmations align. This reduces panic decisions and gives you time to evaluate before scaling in. You can set practical alert rules now and sleep easier during volatility. Timing is mostly mental, and here are the behavioral rules that protect your account when everything goes crazy. Rule 1 is never increase a position after a large loss on the same trade because that compounds risk. Rule 2 is scale out, not all in, so you lock gains and reduce emotional pressure. Rule 3 is keep a rotation watch list and move winners into safer assets when the distribution phase begins. Rule 4 is journal every trade and record your emotional state so you learn from behavior as much as from numbers. Those rules stop the common failure modes that wipe out beginners. Following them will make your results boring and steady, and boring results compound into real gains. The single most valuable takeaway is simple: indicators are tools, timing depends on capital rotation, and market structure and survival beats perfection. If you internalize that idea and use the six-step timing framework plus the behavioral rules, you will avoid the biggest traps most beginners fall into. Here is a micro story. A beginner who followed these rules survived 2 cycles, compounded slowly, and is now in a position to take real advantage of the next rotation. Keep this short checklist visible during trades: macro check, heat map, volume confirmation, scale and plan, risk guard, and exit map. That checklist is what saved that trader's account, and it can save yours too. 60 seconds before the end, I will ask you again to subscribe if you want more cinematic actionable breakdowns like this. If you want more cinematic actionable breakdowns like this, subscribe now and join the community, because I make videos that turn complicated crypto topics into simple repeatable moves. Also click the notification bell to catch the next deep dive we publish. Before you place any trade, watch the next video where we break down market manipulation and investor psychology, because it will change how you read every signal. Click the link on the screen now to watch the next. Thank you for watching, and trade with rules, not hope.